I came back from work and I was feeling a bit tired. I needed to rest because tomorrow I have to travel to the village with my sister to attend to an urgent call from my parents. I came back around 9 p.m. I had my dinner and went straight to bed. I only managed to tell my sis to wake me early the next day so we could travel earlier the next morning. I didn't even have the strength to say my prayers. Moreover, I wasn't that a prayer type. I always believe God protects what He created. I heard my sister say her prayers while I dozed off. I prepared everything to leave the next day. But this time I wasn't with my sister and unfortunately, I had to travel during night hours. I checked my time. It was already 11:30 p.m. Well, I had to get home not minding the time. I decided to take a path that seemed a bit shorter, but the problem was that it was so lonely and deserted. The path had mighty trees planted on both sides of the road. I was the only one walking along the road as I heard different bird sounds. I managed to walk as fast as my legs could. I continued my journey when I saw a little boy. I guess he was around 5 years old or so, walking towards me. What could bring a little boy to this kind of lonely road by this time? I kept on wondering as I walked towards him. I asked him where he was heading to by this time of the night. He only replied, "Don't make noise here so you don't attract the dead." I couldn't understand him, but before I could try to ask him what he meant, he already walked past me. I walked a little more and I observed even though I had been walking yet I couldn't pass one particular mighty tree. I then turned to see how far the kid had gone. To my surprise, I saw the kid gradually transforming into a very old man with a walking stick. My body was filled with goosebumps. I tried to run, but the old man ordered me to stop. He asked me to come so that I couldn't go beyond where I was standing. He told me the reason I couldn't walk past those trees was because the gate had been closed and it was time for ritual. He told me that soon that the ancestral spirits would soon gather here for their rituals. I pleaded with him to let me pass, but he insisted that I couldn't. The only help he could render me was to show me a place to hide just because he is an ancestral spirit from my community and won't want to hurt me. I hid under a particular tree where he asked me to. In a few seconds, I started hearing strange voices laughing and chanting as they walked closer to where the old man was sitting. I couldn't see them, but I only heard their voices. I saw birds of different kinds transform into humans. Powerful winds continued blowing as the branches of the tree started dropping something that looked like blood. It wasn't too long, I saw more than 30 men, even those that were half human, half animal. I was scared to my toe. I couldn't help myself. Just as they were all seated, I heard a very light wind with thunderstorms. Different bird sounds and powerful voices echo from all the corners of the earth. Just then I saw a woman with a skeletal body walk in. She was half flesh, half skeleton, with more than 20 human skulls hanging around her neck. I urinated on myself at the sight of such a deadly creature. Immediately she arrived, they all hailed her and their rituals began. I heard them call the particular man who told me he was the one representing my ancestors to come forth and offer his rituals, as he is the person to bring someone from his kindred. Just as he tried to call a name, the woman with the skeletal body asked him to bring out the person he was hiding. He turned to my direction and ordered me to come. I was powerless as I obeyed his order. I tried to resist, but to no avail. It was as if I had been controlled by external powers. The skeletal being asked me what I was doing on this path. If I wasn't aware, this path belongs to the dead and tonight is their night of blood rituals. I tried to talk, but I was even too weak to say a word. She ordered the man to call someone from my family to be used as a sacrifice. To my surprise, the man mentioned every name in my family, including my cousins and every other relative. The woman ordered him to bring the third person he called, which was my sister. I stood and watched them make incantation, and instantly my sister appeared. She ordered the other man, who looks like a vulture, to feed on my sister's flesh. But as the man tried to approach my sister, he was not able to perch on her. He tried so many times, but to no avail. Then the woman asked the old man to invoke my mom, which he did, yet he couldn't feed on her flesh too. This continued, yet none was working. The old woman had to order him to bring me for the rituals. Well, in my mind I was thinking that the same thing that happened with my sister and mom would happen to me, but the reverse was the case. Just as the vulture approached me, I was getting weak and couldn't help myself. They tied me and dropped me on a stone. They started making powerful incantations, and I felt powerful wind from all corners of the earth. The vulture turned 10 times its powers and was ready to devour me. I needed help, but I was too weak to help myself. I keep wondering why they couldn't do this to my family members, but they succeeded with me. Just as the vulture approached me with glittering and fearful looks all over its face with blood dripping from its mouth.